Hi, good morning. I'm Vaishnavi. I am a fourth year student at Ahmedabad University, and I have also been practicing music since as long as I can remember. I've been trained in Carnatic classical music for a while, and then I went on to venture into a lot of other genres as well.
Okay, hi Vaishnavi. Can you just tell us about your musical journey and how did you discover your passion?
So I think I started learning at a very, very young age. I was about 5 years when I started learning. So because like my parents thought I should learn Carnatic classical music. So since then, I quite didn't like have a passion for it as soon as I started learning. So I used to go because I was forced to. But then I think over time I gradually started liking it more and more and sort of discovered a passion that I had for music. And so I began with Carnatic classical music. I trained for about 13 years in it. And then I learned the veena for a while. And then I was part of a Western band in high school. So I explored some rock and pop. In university, like I also perform a little pop right now. So yeah, that's mostly this sort of journey as it is.
So, what genre do you feel the most connected with?
I think the most connected with I think is like how do I say it? It's always it's close to what I'm listening to at that point in time, but also overall obviously like Carnatic music and lately Hindustani music as well. So Indian classical music, because I think after a point of time, after like 5-6 years of learning, I started to understand the nuances of it a little more. So I could appreciate the music a little more. So I think that's why I resonated. Like jazz, I don't understand as much as say Indian classical.
So, is there any music influencer or your influence with, and how did you shape your style and approach to singing?
So I mean, I have a reverence for a lot of people in music, but I don't think I would say there are people who influence me as much as compositions or ragas and things like that. So for example, for the last 4-5 months, I've been obsessed with this raga called Ahir Bhairav in Hindustani. So like there was one composition that sort of invoked this emotion in me that I resonated with at that point in time. So I thought, I should explore every aspect of this. So I kept learning different kinds of songs within that genre, like folk songs, Hindustani songs, even Carnatic songs, like Telugu songs and so on. So I think more than people, the emotions that compositions themselves or ragas themselves invoke in me inspire and influence me the most to learn what I learn and like listen to what I listen.
So, can you just tell us about what techniques or exercises do you use to maintain and improve your vocal range and qualities?
Yeah. Actually, if in Carnatic as well as Hindustani music, there are a set, kinds of practices that you do for your vocal range. But apart from that, I wouldn't say techniques, but something that I've discovered lately is how important vocal warm-up is. So when I mean vocal warm-up, not just like 5-minute warm-up, like good 20-30-minute warm-up, that is kind of gradual. You like gradually go from one note to like the higher octave and then the lower octave and so on, and at least 30 minutes warm up is important. I have learned that over time, because after starting to warm up for that long, even if I'm singing a song for just 10 minutes, I've realized how important this warm up is, because my voice strains less now and I'm able to like cover higher and lower ranges a little more. So I wouldn't say techniques, but something like yeah.
So, can you share us a memory or meaningful experience from your singing career?
I wish I have a singing career, but I don't. But I think, there are a lot of like small instances. Of course, there's so many performances you see that move you. But apart from that, I think the small joys, like the first time I saw the inside of like a recording studio, I think that I will never forget. The composer is like sitting behind the screen and going 3-2, all that, So that's sort of, when I was there, I felt like I want to see the inside of a studio more often. So it was very inspiring, and I also realized how much I have to learn. So I think that memory, and the first time I sort of held my veena, the first time I played keyboard, so things like that.
Can you just share us a memory from our university if you
Oh, I think so. There was a treble dusk that happened last year. Of all the performances, like I have generally tend to perform either rock, which I'm a little comfortable with because I'd done it before, or pop music. But last time we sort of experimented with a Marathi folk as well as a Hindustani composition, and we made like a fusion rock version of it. I think my friend and I performed it together. We were really nervous, but I think the first time that we fused something together and created something out of nothing. So I think that was like, I mean, not out of nothing, but yeah, but it was very memorable, I would say.
so can you tell us about your vocal training and any influential teacher or mentor, and what inspired you for the classical music?
So I have had about 4 to 5 gurus in Carnatic music, but I think the most influential was one of my gurus. Her name is Guru Amulya Shastri, and she herself was a student of a really famous Kannada composer, Guru Upasana Mohan. But I think she was one of my youngest teachers, but she was also the most disciplinarian, strict. I was really afraid of her, but I think that sort of, when people say this Guru Shishya Parampara in the Indian tradition, and the reverence that you have for your Guru and the fear that you have is a part of the learning. I think that, I mean, some people may disagree, some people find it like borderline toxic, but I think it really worked for me. The fear sort of made me learn more and more, made me sort of explore what I have more and more, and eventually I started appreciating music a lot more. So I think I would say she was the most influential because I was really scared of her. I know this is a very anticlimactic answer, but yeah, I think that sort of pushed me further.
So as you told that you were trained in Carnatic music, so can you just tell us the difference between Carnatic and Hindustani classical tradition?
Yeah, so I was under a huge misconception that they're even vaguely similar. But since I came here to Ahmedabad, so I'm from Bangalore, but since I came to Ahmedabad, I've been exposed to a lot more Hindustani music, and I've realized that they're just different genres. They're very different. So in Indian music, raga and tala are the most basic components. That itself is so fundamentally different in both. In fact, I myself am taking a course in the university called Introduction to, like, Glimpses into the World of Hindustani Music, because I want to understand what the differences are. And I can give you an example. So for instance, in Carnatic music there are 16 notes, but in Hindustani there are 12 notes. And in Carnatic music there's like a very popular rag made of Shuddha Swaras. Shuddha Swaras are like the basic notes that we would say. And it's a most popular raga, and there are a lot of ragas emerging from it. But in Hindustani music, there are no ragas made of only Shuddha Swaras, which was a little mind-blowing for me. I'm like, how is that possible? So, things like that, how they approach rhythm, how they approach the way they sing. Although there are overarching similarities, but they're just fundamentally very different. And that's what I've learned in the past, like 3-4 years. Okay, thank you.
It's been a long day without you, my friend.